Hello, and welcome back to the Vintage Baseball Corner. My name's Chris. Today we'll be doing a preview for a 76 card PSA submission of vintage cards from 1960 through 1979. In the interest of time, I'm going to break this up into three parts. Part one is going to be 1960s only. Part two will be 1970s minus 1975. And part three will be all 1975s. First of all, like a dummy, I forgot to record this video before I packed the cards up and sent them off. So we are going to use front and back scans of each card as we go through for the cards that were submitted. As many of you know, or if any of you that have watched my videos before, you'll know that I am working on a high-end 1975 set. And so there are a good bit of 1975s in this submission, so I wanted to separate those out and not take too long on these previews. I'll probably do the same on the PSA Reveal when we get them back, just like I did in our last 1970s reveal. If you haven't seen those videos, I would appreciate you going back and checking them out. Invite you to do so. We split that into two parts. Part one is 1970s without 1975. Has some great high-grade Nolan Ryan cards, some really nice-looking sharp cards. And if you were part of, growing up in the 70s, it'll take you back through memory lane in a hurry. There's some good stuff in there. And part two was 33 beautiful, sharp, crisp 1975s. Got some really good grades. I'll leave it at that. But I'd like you to, if you enjoy that year, to take a look at it. I think you'll enjoy those cards. I will link both of those videos in the notes below on this so that you can go back and take a look at your convenience. All right, next up, and as I'm going through this, I'm kind of showing you some of the cards that we're going to preview here today, and then also some cards that were from our last 1960s PSA Reveal and submission. That video is also available, and I would invite you to take a look at it as well. There were some really nice and fun cards in that submission as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Just a quick note, this 76 card submission was a group of friends put together, myself and three or four other friends. We all collect differently, so you're going to see some high grade, some low grade, some mid grade cards. Again, we all have different approaches, and that's great. That's what makes this hobby wonderful. There were some football cards that were included in the submission. In the preview videos, I left them out, yet I will include them in the reveal videos when the cards come back. So without further ado, let's go to the first card on our list today. It's a 1961 Mantle Blasts 565-foot home run, often considered the longest home run ever, that was hit clear out of Griffith Park, in Washington. This card's pretty nice. Got a little bit of corner wear. It's got a nice surface, no major defects, no surface issues that I saw. A nice clean back. I've got it listed as expect a 5, maybe a 6, and on a pipe dream, kind of let's hope for a 7. I think that's probably a stretch, but hey, we can dream, can't we? But it's a nice looking card. It's centered well, looks good. We got to get some good hopes for it. Next up is Reds Artillery. Vada Pinson, Gus Bell, and Frank Robinson, all Reds sluggers and all-stars at various times. This one, again, is pretty nice. It's got a little bit of corner touches. On your screen, the bottom left corner's touched a little bit. But it's got good color. Surface issues are minimal. I got, again, a 5 on this one. Expect a 5, hope for a 6 on it. One quick note, and I'll come back to this one real quickly. These are the incoming scans from PSA. So they scan them with the card still in the sleeve. They do a pretty good job, but you can see along the top that the card still is in the sleeve that it was sent in. So periodically you'll see some scratches and things that look like they're on the card that are not. They're actually on the sleeves themselves. Moving on. Ted Kluszewski, 1961, The Big Clue. He's showing him with the Los Angeles Angels. He's got a Sox hat on there. So this was his transition time from one team to the other. On this one, got a little bit of surface wear. You can't really see some corner wear. I had a note on here of 4 to 5. 5.5 is probably about the max that we could get out of it, but it's still a nice looking card there. Moving on to a Warren Spahn. This one, the centering top to bottom is going to hold it back a little bit. I've got it listed as a 4 to 5 with a max of a 6. It does qualify centering in terms of centering for a 6. It's just got some corner touches and a little minor surface wear issues, not too much. It's a very, very beautiful card on it. Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot. The roller marks on the back is what may be limiting, and I think that's why I put 4 to 5 down and hope for a 6 rather than assume it's going to be in that 5 to 6 range. I'm not sure how hard they'll hit those roller marks. Moving on to a Roger Maris 1961 MVP. This one's got some issues. We got some worn corners. We got some print defects. Fish eyes, yellow on the right. It got a pinkish one on the wrist, and a lot of small red ones in the red background, along with a print line down the right side. For this one, got a little bit of gum stain on the back too. I got down a 2 or a 3 with probably a max of a 3.5 on that. Just again, it's going to fall in that low grade, just below the mid grade line. So next up, Mantle slams 2 homers, World Series. I'm betting he did not hit a home run on that swing the way he's extended, but hey, you never know. This card did have a couple little surface issues above the Game 2 baseball. One which could be interpreted as a very, very small crease. It could also just be kind of considered uneven surface. Very small, very minor. And then it also had a little, what I call them fingernail impressions. It's almost, like a little indentation. It's only maybe a quarter of the length of a fingernail. Not very long, but just about as deep as if somebody had a fingernail in it at some point. So I think it's going to limit us on that. I put down 3 to 4 with a hope of a 5, just depending on how they interpret that, what I'm calling a wrinkle. It's a very, very small wrinkle at the same time. You never know. It could be, you could see it the other way too. So on that one, next we go to AL home run leaders from the 1960 season. We've got Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, Jim Lemon, and Rocky Colavito. This one's a pretty nice card. One of the things I thought was interesting about the card itself is that it shows home run leaders from each season from 1901 to 1960 rather than showing a list of home run leaders from that particular 1960 season. So I thought that was kind of interesting. You can go back in time and look at home run totals in every year up to that point from 1901 on and forward. On this one, it's a nice card. I've got down 4. Actually, I've got down 5 or 6. The centering is off top to bottom. I look at the card a horizontal card that way. So, but it does qualify for the grade. So it could get as high as a 7. My hunch is this 6 is probably so far as it's going to go on this one. Next up, it's called New Scoops or New Card Scoops. Willie Mays makes greatest catch. This was a series done in the early 60s. These cards are very flat on the surface. It doesn't have a lot of gloss. I'm not sure if they were all like that or not. And it does have some corner wear. So I'm looking at probably a 4 or 5 on this one with a pipe dream of a 6. But again, there's just some light edge and corner wear there. Otherwise, it's a nice looking card and centered very well. It's good, get a good, nice eye appeal on it. But I just don't think we're going to get much higher than that. We're going to move on to 1962. We got a post-Mickey Mantle. This one is the Life magazine hand-cut version. There are 3 different versions. 2 from Life magazine and 1 straight off the post boxes that have a blank back. This one has really nice color. Looks good. It's got a little crease down on the bottom right corner here. You see going through the major and games, right above the bottom right corner. And as you can see on the back, there are some issues on the 2 corners on the right side of your screen there. So I'm looking in the 1 to 2 range. It'd be lovely to get a 3 out of this thing. But, probably 2 is about where we can go if they don't slap the old authentic on it. I think it'll grade, but you never know with hand cut cards exactly how we're going to get there. Next up, the Manager's Dream. Familiar card to most everyone. Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays on the card. This one's had a lot of love, a lot of handling over time. Rough edges, corners with some heavy wear. Got some surface wear kicking in. I got it down at a 1 or a 2. Probably 2 is probably the max grade we can get. I'd love to get a 2 out of it. But an iconic card nonetheless. Next up, home run leaders, 1962 from the 61 season. Got Maris, Mantle with their 61 and 54 homers. Kilbrew and Jim Gentile. Bringing up the, I guess not the rear, but the rear on this card with 46. If you'll notice on the back that it shows the number of grand slams, that Jim Gentile led the league with 5 grand slams. So 46 homers and 5 grand slams for a guy you don't hear much about in the hobby is a nice solid season. On this one, I'm probably looking at guessing 3 to 4. I'd love to see a 4 out of it. Just some corner wear. I just don't know that it could get any higher than that. The wood grain border really does show the corners on that. It is off center, right, left to right, but not more so than would affect the grade at this level. This one, on the other hand, is off center enough to the point that it's gonna see an MC for miscut qualifier. It's just too close on the right side, especially down near his name. Not a bad card overall. I'm looking at probably a 3 or a 4 miscut. With an outside hope of a 5 miscut. Probably not going to happen, but at the same time, one can always dream. In general, it's a pretty nice looking card outside of the centering / cut. We'll move on to 1962 Warren Spahn. Again, another one that's off a little bit. I don't mind the centering being off a little bit on 61s. For some reason, it doesn't bother me as much as it does other years. Maybe just the wood grain, the layout, and the lack of a full interior border with the bottom right there. That said, this one's probably a 2.5 or a 3. We got some pretty heavy corner wear there. And there are some minor surface issues, nothing major, but this 2.5, 3 is probably where it's going to sit. And I put a hope of a 3.5 or 4. You never know. But at the same time, nothing that jumps out at you at the back either on it. Next up is a pretty darn nice Harmon Kilber. I picked this up from another buddy of mine. And it's pretty nice. It's just sharp overall. The corners are pretty sharp. It's good eye appeal on it. No specific surface issues. I've got it down as a 6 and hope for a 7. And I think that's realistic. I think 6 is probably a solid grade there. And would be surprised if it came lower than that. Not shocked, but surprised. Anyway, we'll move on from Harmon there. And a good, nice looking card there. Next up, we got Hall of Fame manager Al Lopez, White Sox manager at the time. On this one, I got a 4 and hope for a 5. We got some corner wear down at the bottom on the colored borders, which is normal. And a little bit of surface snow on the top, a lot less than I've seen on other cards from this year. But I still think that we could be in that 4, possibly 5 area there. And I think the bottom on this one would probably be a 3. Next up, Casey Stengel. We were off a little bit on the right to left centering. Top to bottom as well. But again, nothing egregious for the level of card that it's at. I love the clarity and just the depth that you can see in his face. It's almost like you can read into his soul. He spent many years winning World Series with the Yankees and then moved on to the Mets. Casey had been around baseball for a long, long time. It's just almost like you could feel that in this card. I like that card. I get it down as a 5 or a 6. Pipe dream of a 7. The centering does qualify for a 7. At least on the left to right. I'm not sure if I measured the top to bottom. But still, 5 to 6 is going to be well within the realm of possibility here. So, just again, a really nice looking card for that age and We're not looking super high end, but nice for a good collection. Phil Lenz, Yankees infielder. This card's pretty darn sharp. Corners are sharp. They get little touches, but generally speaking, very nice corners. The centering is, roughly 68-32 on it. It qualifies for a 7. I think actually it even qualifies for an 8. I guess a 6 or 7 here. In a perfect world, it might see an 8 because it is a nice sharp card, and the corner touches are minor. But I would be surprised if it jumped up that high. Next up, we're looking at Ernie Banks Bazooka 1963. This is a hand-cut card. I don't know if it's going to be cut well enough to get beyond an authentic. Typically, PSA likes to see the cut lines. You can see them a little bit on the bottom, a little bit on the right. It's faint. When I got this card, the cut was much worse and had to kind of clean it up a little bit. So my hunch is it's going to go authentic, but I could see it grading as high as a 4 or 5. It does appear that there's a print line or a scratch going across the bridge of his nose, but that's on the sleeve. It's not on the card. The surface and color on this were really, really nice. The cut's just not as nice as it could have been, and it's vastly improved from when I got it, but at the same time, I didn't want to go any further with it and take a chance on really messing it up. And the seals have a blank back. Next up, Roger Maris, 66. Heavy corner wear, some edge wear. The photo and the picture and the surface is decent, but I got this in that 1 to 2 range. I think there's a good chance that it could get a 2. I doubt it would go higher than that. It's a possibility, but I'm not expecting anything higher than a 2 there, and would not shock me at all with a 1. We'll move on to Roger Maris in a 1968. Very nice looking card initially. The burlap type borders on a 68 hide the corners well. This one's got some corner touches, some softish corners, but the card presents very well. I've got it as a 3 or 4 with a maximum of 4. I just don't think that they could get beyond a 4 with the corner wear that we have. Still, nonetheless, very nice looking card. Speaking of nice cards, this one really jumps out at you. The initial eye appeal on this card is just gorgeous. The color, the clarity, just beautiful. Along closer inspection, we've got some soft corners here and some wear that's going to limit our grade. The centering's not perfect on it, but it's really not bad for that time frame. And the corners is really what's going to get us. And there's a little bit of edge wear, especially I believe on the right side. Maybe even a little bit on the left as well. It's been a while since we sent this off, so I've been looking at it. But needless to say, I got a 3 to 3.5 on it. Hope for a 4. But regardless of what it grades, this is a really, really nice looking card. There's the back for it. This Clemente is a little bit sharper. Corners are a little bit nicer on it. I say the sharper the color and presentation is not any sharper. Just the structure of the card is a little bit better. I'm looking at a 5 to 6 range on this. I think 6. Actually, I think it's probably a fairly safe 6 and could even go 7. The centering, as you see it, is left to right, as I would see it as top to bottom. It is not perfect, but it does actually qualify for his grade as high as a 7 on measuring it. I believe top to bottom it's right in that 68-32, just better than 70-30 on it. So nice card. Probably expect a 6 on it. Wouldn't shock me to see a 5, but I'd really like to see that 6 or even a 7. Last few cards here, we got an Al Lopez again, Hall of Fame manager. Typical 69 centering, a little tilt, a little off left to right. But really nice color for this card. 69s aren't really known for good, vibrant colors, and so this one's got nice color. Skin tone is good. So I think it could grade okay. I think on this one, and you can see the back on it, the manager cards are special that year in terms of the way they did the backs. I've got it as a 5 or 6, and with a maybe a pipe dream of a 7, but I think we're in the 5 to 6 range solidly on this card. It's pretty nice. Next up is another solid Roberto Clemente on first glance. But as we dig a little bit deeper, we've got pretty soft corners here. We got a couple surface scratches. Unfortunately, this one's going to be limited by its overall condition. I'm looking at probably a 2 or 3 here with a hope of a 4. I think it might be a stretch again, but man, it looks good. The centering is decent. Well, it's not great. It's not doesn't jump out at you as terrible. The back shows a little wear again, a little corner wear. Overall, a nice card that's going to fit in that lower grade level, just from a technical standpoint. And the last card of the night is this Ernie Banks. I'm going to talk about it for a minute. This card was previously a PSA 6. It was graded about 4 years ago, I believe. If so, it was in the new Lighthouse slab. Unfortunately, without getting into a long story, due to a little mishap, the case was slightly cracked on the top. Nowhere near the card, but at the same time, I knew that if I could keep it, if I ever wanted to sell it, I was going to have it reslabbed. And at the time, I think reslabs were still $20, although that price has come down now. And it was cheaper for me to crack it out myself and resub it with the $14.99 special. Just beautiful color. Centering is really nice. Not perfect 50-50, but just solid. Great looking card. It just jumps out at you immediately. I did notice that when I cracked it out, that there were some surface scratches on it. So I'm not sure if that's part of what limited it to a 6. I initially thought the back is what limited it to a 6, as the pink color on the back is very pale, almost pastel-like. You see a lot of 69 cards with much deeper pink color there. So I wasn't sure if the back was what caused it, but then once I saw the light surface scratches, I thought maybe that was it, and they didn't hold back on the back didn't bother the grader so much. So not sure exactly where this one's going to go. I'm fully aware that it could grade lower than the initial 6, but again, it was going to have to be reslabbed one way or the other, and I decided to go ahead and take that chance. So I'm hoping to see a 6 again. I'd love to see this thing pop up to a 7. I don't think it's going to, but I'd love to see it because it is a beautiful card. And I know darn good and well that it could see a 5 or 5.5. I'd be shocked if it went below 5.5, to be honest with you. But at the same time, it's just one of those that I made the call and moved forward with it. So those are the 1960s cards in this submission. Again, we'll do another video with 70s, another video with 75s to break this up a little bit. If you have made it this far with me, I certainly appreciate it. I would ask if you like the content and you like the style of video, showing you the cards, a little bit of description with it, a little bit of tidbits about players and cards. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps so much get in front of more people. It really does. And it would be very, very much appreciated. Again, I thank you for your time. I know your time is limited. I appreciate you taking the time and hope to spend some more time with you in the future on future subjects. For now, I'm going to sign off and say have a great night and rest of your day, and we'll see you again soon.